Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Town of Stellarton Council meeting, October 15, 2018, at 5:30 p.m. start time. I'd like to mention that for those viewing on YouTube, that the full council package is available on their website the day of the meeting. And also, if you check the YouTube comments, it should be on there as well. If you click on it, there should be a link to the PDF for the full council package. The agenda is in front of us. Is there any additions or changes to the agenda?
Your Worship, I'd like to add 2 items to the agenda, if I may. And I would like to list them under the engineer's report, F and G. One is Hudson Street, and the other is Blue Acres Trailer Park.
So we'll put those under 5E for Town Engineer's report. F and G, sorry, thank you. So item F5F will be Hudson Street, and 5G will be Blue Acres Trailer Park. Any other changes or additions? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve, please?
Oh, move, Your Worship.
I'll second that.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Pence, seconded by Councillor Wand. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded. Unanimously, motion carried. Next is the approval of minutes. There's two sets of minutes, September 10th, a public hearing, and then the regular council meeting. Is there any errors or omissions in the minutes? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve, please?
So move.
I second that motion, Your Worship.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Pence, seconded by Councillor Knight. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded. Motion carried unanimously. Item 3, business from previous minutes, of which there is none, so we'll move on to item 4, reports from the elected. These are submitted and are written in part of the council package. I'd like to highlight a couple things from my report for the public. The Pictou County Wellness Center is doing a strategic planning process. We're in the midst of that at the moment. There'll be some open houses for public engagement. The open houses are going to be October 16th, 6:30 p.m. at the municipality of the County of Pictou office. October 17th, 6:30 p.m. at East Pictou School. And the ones most likely for Stellarton residents, October 23rd at noon time and 6:30 p.m. at the Pictou County Wellness Center. So I encourage anyone who has an interest to attend those. Also want to mention that the Stellarton, Trenton, and Glasgow submitted a proposal for the province to fund a study for fixed transit for the 3 towns. That's been approved by the province, so we're going to start moving on that study in the very near future. And I just wanted to formally, from this chair, recognize Donna Murphy's 50 years in business with the Kaylee Drive-In restaurant. The town celebrated that anniversary. It was a good thing. Is there any questions on my report? Okay, we'll move on to Councillor Knight. Or sorry, that's written report. Is anyone else would like to speak or mention anything with the report?
Yes, Your Worship. Again, my report as well is attached, but I do want to highlight one important thing. The Planning Advisory Committee has met a couple of times in actually 3 times the last month. One of those times was for a tour to the mine site. And what I would like to highlight is the mine reclamation process has started. We were informed by the mine that that mine site will be closing in the next 2 to 3 years. And the reclamation process has started, so the Planning Advisory Committee will be working hard in the next few months to try and come up with plans on what to do with the reclamation land. So we have agreed on doing 2 open houses. Those open houses will be for the public to solicit their feedback and what they would like to see in that mine site when the land is reclaimed. Those open houses will be happening on the October 30th between 2 and 4 and 6 and 8 at the Stellarton Fire Hall. Everyone is welcome to join, and hopefully word to mouth will get out there. We'll also put it on our Facebook and our website to encourage as many people to come as possible to solicit as much feedback and as much opinions, I guess, and suggestion as possible, so that the Planning Advisory Committee can take into account when they are doing the planning for that site. This is a very exciting moment in our town's history, if you want to call it, and I'm very excited to be part of that.
Thank you, Councillor Rowan. Any questions for Councillor Rowan? Okay, we'll move on to reports from staff. 5A is a police service. There is a report in our package. Is there any questions on it? Can I have a motion to accept it, please?
I'll make a motion to accept the Stellarton Police Service report.
I'll second that motion, Your Worship.
Moved by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor Knight. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded. Motion carried unanimously. 5B, Rachel McLean, Planning and Development.
Good evening, everybody. So my report is as submitted, and were there any questions?
I said a couple of, I guess, questions or comments. So we were talking about a sign in the roundabout in the middle of it. We changed the location to the side. I'm just wondering, is there a timeline for that one? Press your button, please.
So the sign, the entrance feature sign, I have modeled in 3D and working with the engineering student to have it drafted and a proper foundation. I've been back and forth with the fabricator, so that's in full swing, and really hoping to have it for the snow flies, if like not next week, but this fall at least.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to mention about this asset management course in Port Hawkesbury. Myself, Blaine, Rachel, and Susan all attended. It was a informative introduction to asset management. We're going to have 3 more full-day workshops in November, so that's in progress. Thank you for being part of that. And thank you as well for helping with the active transportation plan, and that's a very important piece of work, so thank you for that. Any other questions or comments for the planner?
Yes, Your Worship. Rachel, in the past we used to get the, so in your report here you just said process subdivision application documentation, and we used to get where those applications have happened, or we don't get that anymore?
You can, yeah, I just wasn't aware, that's no problem. Sure.
Any other questions? Can I have a motion to accept, please?
I so move.
I'll second that motion, Your Worship.
Moved by Councillor Wan, seconded by Deputy Mayor Pence. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Rachel. 5C, Chief Dwight Campbell, Fire Department.
Worship, councillors, you have my report.
Is there any questions for the chief in his report? Okay, Aaron.
I'd move the chief's report as written, Your Worship.
I second that motion, Your Worship.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Pence, seconded by Councillor Knight. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Chief. Paul Corbin, Community Development and Recreation.
Good evening. I'd like to submit my report as written.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. For the soccer fields, do you think we'll have an idea by budget time what needs to be done up there?
Yes, we're hoping that it'll be done well before then.
The basketball courts on Pleasant Street look really nice. They're painted in the mesh and everything. They look really good. Thank you. It's a pretty amazing reach with the Cayley Drive-In story of over 22,000 people, so it's awesome. We have a strong website. We have a good social media presence, and we're on the YouTube, so I think it's very important this day and age that we have all that, and thank you for doing that for us. And on the newsletter, excellent work on that for all the staff. I have received feedback from residents, and they're very happy to see that, and think it's a great move in our town on our part, so thank you for helping us with that and doing that for us. Other questions for Paul?
Thank you, Your Worship. Paul, just a quick question on and I forgot. Oh, sorry, it's not on your report. I have it written here. In a recent gathering, there was a question that was posed to me about the garbage bins, and I know that we have talked about it before. Is there any update on that?
If you're referring to the garbage bins on, the Ford Street, no, there's no update on that. There was an example of a type of garbage bin that is pretty standard that reduces garbage dumping that you can also brand or advertise on. I believe the town of Pictou has the exact same ones, but it didn't go through budget process, I guess. I think they're around $500 to $600 each. They are costly, and we do have some, but the engineer and Public Works have been handling that portion of it, so I just found the information.
Your Worship, with this subject being brought up multiple times now, I'm hoping that we can put it on our budget time to discuss. I'm not really sure if we want to go a $600 route. Maybe if there's a cheaper option, it will be easier decision to make. But something that I think we should look at just because of the feedback that we're getting. Thank you. Thank you, Paul.
I'd like to move the recreation report as written, Your Worship. Oh, go ahead, Sue.
Paul, we were going to do a study, I thought at one time, on how, the usage of Old Foster Trail. Did we ever get that to see how many people use it?
We had the device, the trail monitor, in place. It was damaged, and so the data became corrupted, and we haven't gone out to put the newer device that we have through Active Pictou County there again. That is a plan. I know just through observation and a number of people that do use the trail quite frequently that it is heavily used, especially for commuters using the wellness center. There'll be people that'll do a workout and then they'll actually do their run outside and make use of the trail. So I do know that it's well used, but I don't have accurate numbers to pass on to you.
Thank you.
Move the report, Your Worship.
Second that motion, Your Worship.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Pence, seconded by Councillor Knight. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carried unanimously. 5E, Blaine Murray, Town Engineer.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. You have my reports as submitted. Construction season is starting to wrap up. I'd say 90 to 95% of our paving's been done. I'm also looking for ratification for the hiring of Public Works Superintendent Ed Stewart. Do you have any questions?
Maybe we can handle the ratification first.
I would so move to hire Ed Stewart as our superintendent.
I'll second that motion, Your Worship.
Moved by Councillor Wan, seconded by Councillor Knight. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carried unanimously. Best of luck, Ed. On the reports, I guess we'll do transportation property report first. I just noticed on Juniper Street that there's a section of it not done at the very start of it. Is that going to be done, or is there a reason why it's like that? It's done today? Okay, that's off the list then. Thank you.
Your Worship, one question. On Pleasant Street, that dips in the road, and there's another dip there as well. Are they going to repair that before the winter?
Yes.
On McKay Street, Blaine, there's some areas there that has to be patched. Is patching not done yet?
Yeah, the contractor has marked it out and has it on his list.
You mentioned about the McGregor Avenue power poles and streetlights. Is that the area from McGregor to the Wellness Center, basically, like where the subway is?
That's correct. We will extend three-phase power from McGregor, I guess near the intersection of Heritage towards the intersection of Lawrence Boulevard. It will have streetlights on those as well.
What's the timeline for that?
I can't give you a time frame. We have to get Nova Scotia Land Surveyor to do easement sketches, and they have to go through the easement process with the federal government.
Just wanted to note that the county is putting a sidewalk from basically from the subway to the intersection with the lights, so that's improved safety. It's going to improve safety there, and these lights will also improve safety there, so thank you.
It would be nice, Your Worship, if we could afford to put sidewalks on McGregor Avenue up the upper end.
This isn't for budget time.
I have a question for you, Blaine. The street sweeper was out. How do you determine what streets are clean? Do you have do you have a, like do so many streets at a time, or?
We usually try to get the sweeper in for a day or two at a time, so we do a visual inspection of some of the streets. We know some areas that are bad, so we hit those first. Like McKay, for example, we did the sidewalk installation there, and we were topsoil and seeding there, so we knew that street had to be clean, so that's one of the ones we attacked first.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Two questions. Well, one question, I guess, and a comment. Just to follow up on the sweeping, have we had any feedback from anybody about improved sweeping or improved dust or something like that from our resident or from the businesses?
I haven't heard any feedback from residents on the street sweeper.
The other thing, Your Worship, is I would like to thank Blaine and the town Public Works, because the work that has been done here was hectic, to say the least. It was done, from my experience, in a record time. I remember a couple of years it was December 23rd and we weren't done yet. And everything looks perfect. So I'm very happy and my residents are very happy, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Any questions on the water utility report? I guess my only question is the Xeon wastewater pump. That was a recent capital purchase?
The Xenon pump was one that was repaired and put back into installation, and we had a failure in it not that long ago. We had to take it out, and the contractor is going to do a pressure test. I think it's just as simple as a seal not doing its job.
What's the function of it?
It pumps the wastewater from the Xenon plant to our discharge location.
Any further questions?
Yes, Your Worship. The 4x4 truck, when is it going to be, it's ordered now, when it's going to be coming?
The ETA from the supplier was the end of October, early November.
And the truck from the that's being used in the water right now, which is a 2x4, I think?
Correct.
And that's going to go to the Public Works.
Yes.
Other questions? Could I have a motion to approve both reports, please?
So move, Your Worship.
Second that motion, Your Worship.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Pence, seconded by Councillor Knight. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carried unanimously. 5F is Hudson Street.
Blaine, I had a call from a few residents on Hudson Street. They're getting a little anxious. They want to see that street done. They want to see it cleaned up before the snow flies. Is that going to be done?
Yes, I was talking to the contractor today. They're going to switch over from Canby's wrapping up now, and they'll be switching over to Hudson, install the rest of the sidewalk and any topsoil and seed that remains.
Thank you.
Is that good? We'll move on to 5G, which is the Blue Acres Trailer Park.
Blaine, I had a call from a wheelchair recipient, Blue Acres. They're not too happy with the crosswalks in that area. I know it's getting late in the year, but I was wondering if we could look to make sure that they're accessible.
Yes, we can review that.
Just for clarification, by accessible, I think you mean the curb being cut out? Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. You're right.
Okay, so we're good. Thank you, Blaine. We'll move on to item 6, the presentation, the Town of Stellarton Active Transportation Plan, Rachel McLean and Paul Corbin.
So that comment about the drop curbs and accessibility kind of ties right into what we're going to be talking about. This is a draft report on quite a few steps ahead of us, but this is the jump into where we're going to be headed, and we've got some great ideas, and we're going to be speaking with the community and looking for their great ideas as well. So this report, or this draft plan at this point, is taking through basically where we're at, where we're going, and some of what we need to know. And showing examples of possibilities and just some different typographies and that sort of thing. So I know you're just getting it now, so it's kind of, you might not have had a chance to read through it or anything like that, but.
Your Worship, that's exactly what I want to talk about. Is we've talked about in the past that we should get these kind of things early on so that we'll be able to review them and we'll prepare any questions, because I wasn't able to review it until now.
I agree.
Okay, so give us a month to review it. Is that what you want to do? And then we'll talk about it in the next meeting as well. Sound okay? Thank you very much. Looks great. Look forward to reading it. Okay, item 7 is a proclamation for Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day. Whereas October 15th is recognized worldwide and in other regions of Canada as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day to symbolize our support of Nova Scotia's Bill 179, Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Act. And whereas each day in Canada, 5 babies die within their first year and 8 babies are stillborn, as many as 1 in 5 pregnancies end in miscarriage. 1 family in Nova Scotia per day experiences the pain of losing a child as a result of miscarriage, stillbirth, or neonatal loss. And whereas there's a need to develop a greater awareness and understanding with the cause of pregnancy and infant loss, so we can improve the health care provided for pregnant mothers and their babies. And whereas the existence of the babies and infants deserves to be recognized. And whereas increased awareness of the cause and impacts surrounding pregnancy and infant loss may lead to greater understanding, support, and resources in communities across Nova Scotia. Whereas this declaration acknowledges the unique grief of bereaved parents and demonstrates support to the many families across Canada who have suffered a loss through miscarriage, medical termination, stillbirth, or the death of their infant during delivery or shortly after birth. And whereas promoting awareness of pregnancy and infant loss increases the likelihood that these families will receive understanding and support as they face the challenge of their distinctive bereavement. And whereas a day of remembrance honors the lives of the children and supports grieving parents, grandparents, siblings, and other family members whose lives are forever altered by the heartbreak of losing a child. And whereas such activities emphasize Stellarton's commitment to supporting sensitivity and encouragement to bring this cause to light. And whereas the day is observed with remembrance ceremonies and candlelit vigils, concluding with the International Wave of Light, a worldwide lighting of candles at 7 p.m. And whereas the town of Stellarton wishes to recognize the profound grief experienced by families for those who lose a baby, now therefore I, Danny McGilvery, Mayor of the town of Stellarton, and the council do hereby declare the day of October 15th as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day in the town of Stellarton. Can I have a motion to accept that, please?
I'll make a motion to accept that.
I'll second that.
Moved by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Deputy Mayor Pence. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion.
Your Worship, are they going to have a vigil like they had last year, do you know? And do you know where it's going to be held?
I believe they are going to have one that's going to be at the Glasgow Square this year. But we are going to put some blue and pink lights at the town square in recognition of the day.
Do you know the dates and times?
It's tonight at 7 p.m. at Glasgow Square. They are aware that there's council this evening, and they do appreciate that the town has declared today. So.
Okay, so we can move on to item 8, which is Committee of the Whole report.
The following recommendations are for Council's consideration from Committee of the Whole, meeting held on September 24th. Recommendation number 1, on recommendation of Committee of the Whole, Council approve a citizen on the Recreation Committee to attend the Fall Recreation Nova Scotia Conference. Recommendation number 2, on recommendation of Committee of the Whole via email dated October 1st, 2018, Council approved the quote received from Flash Stewart Siding and Roofing for $44,850 and the scaffolding quote to Mark McIsaac Construction for $27,025 for the library roof.
We'll read out the tenders, just so they're read out the open council. So for the roof, there was 2 tenders received. One was from Flash Stewart Siding and Roofing for $44,850, including HST. The other one was from Timeless Metal Roofing for $45,550, including HST. On the scaffolding, there was Sancton Access at $51,874.41, and Mark McIsaac Construction at $27,025. The engineer recommends that we accept the lowest bids: Flash Stewart Siding and Roofing and Mark McIsaac Construction. If there's no questions, can I have a motion on that, please?
Move and take the recommendations of the engineer, Your Worship.
I'll second that motion, Your Worship.
So moved by Deputy Mayor Pence, seconded by Councillor Knight. So this would be, the motion is just for recommendation number 2 at this time, I think, is the way we did this. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Carried unanimously. And there's also recommendation number 1 from the Committee of the Whole to approve the citizen to attend the fall recreation. Can I have a motion on that as well, please?
So move, Your Worship.
I second, Your Worship.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Pence, seconded by Councillor Knight. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Next is a policy and installation and replacement of driveway culverts. In the past, in the not so recent past, we had a policy of basically, I think it was the resident was responsible for the whole shot. In our more recent past, it was flipped the other way, where the town paid the whole shot. So our new engineer brought in a policy that helps. We're hoping it strikes a middle ground, a reasonable middle ground, and it's fair to the resident and the taxpayer. We've gone through this Committee of the Whole, I believe. Is there any other questions or comments on this policy? Hearing none, can I have a motion to adopt it, please?
I move, Your Worship, to adopt the motion.
Before we adopt on the question there, Your Worship, I'd like the town engineer to explain the culverts, the new policy, if at all possible.
Sure, so we had a move by Councillor Knight. Can I second it before we do that? Seconded by Deputy Mayor Pence, and we ask the engineer to please explain the policy.
In a short description, basically, driveway culverts, the homeowner responsible for the cost of the culvert, and the town would install it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Blaine.
Okay, we'll take it to a vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. So we have a bylaw amendment. First reading is the amendment to the dog bylaw of 2018, April 23rd, number 51. So this will be bylaw number 52. Will be the first reading. Would this clerk like to speak to the change?
The amendment to the bylaw has been recommended by the Police Commission. The change in the bylaw is not charging registration fees effective April 1st, 2019. That is the only change.
So that means anybody that has a dog. So we're eliminating the registration fee in hopes of encouraging more people to register. It will be a one-time registration. The fee will be $0. So we're hoping that encourages people to get out and register their dogs.
I think, Your Worship, is speaking on the motion. Councillor Vaughan brought it forward when he was in council, previous council, and I brought it forward in this council. But the logic behind it is right now, if a dog is lost, it costs us money to go out and get the dog and find the owners and house it and so forth and so on. This way, if a dog is lost and wanders into your property, you can pick it up, call the police station. Dog with tag number 26 is here. Who owns it? You can call the owner. There's no cost to the town.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Councillor Knight. That's exactly what our purpose was. I think, for this policy or this amendment to work, we need as much of our residents to participate in it. We're forfeiting the monetary aspect of it because we want this to be easier and more efficient. And it's only going to work if the residents participate. I do have one question on the bylaw. In section 6, number 2, it says a dog shall be exempt from registration in the event the owner proves that the dog is under the age of 3 months. How are we gonna prove that?
That's a typical part of the dog bylaw. I'm not sure what constitutes why it's below 3 months, but that's just, yeah.
Your Worship, does it matter? I mean, we're not charging them. The police are not going to charge them, So I think it's yeah. I agree with Councillor Vaughan. It's not a real important point. And it's probably there because of the monetary value that was there before, yeah. Sorry.
I will remove that clause, and this will, if council approves the first reading, then this will go to second reading in November.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
And I will second that.
Moved by Councillor Knight, seconded by Councillor Vaughan. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. And now we'll move on to Bill 177. This is the bylaw as well.
Yes, Your Worship, this is also bylaw number 52 for the first reading. This is the commercial phase-in bylaw. Council's familiar with this, so they have.
Yes, thank you. As the clerk mentioned, it's commercial phase-in bylaw Bill 177. It's basically a tax concession for new developments in the Albion Business Park. We forgive up to 50% of the commercial property tax over the first 10 years for new developments. It's designed to draw in new developments and business to the park. Council feels this is a prudent and productive way to grow the park. Our entire town will benefit from a growing Albion Business Park. And this council would like to thank the previous councils who had the foresight to develop the Albion Business Park. It's a big part of Stellarton now. It was a smart move by them. But this is our move to try to make the park grow. Is there any questions or comments on it?
Yes, Your Worship, and I applaud this council for making that move. I brought it forward. It was an idea at the time, and this council made it happen. It wouldn't have happened without it, so I appreciate that a lot. I think it's going to go a long way in developing our business park, but not only for Stellarton, but it's going to be a regional benefit for it too. The other thing I want to mention as well, Your Worship, is that the downtown area was excluded from this. But as everybody might have recalled, is that the council has asked the Planning Advisory Committee to work on the potential of a facade program for the downtown. So this is being worked on right now. So we are working on multifaceted projects, and this is just one of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wan. Is there any further?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I'm glad you brought that point up about previous council. I don't know it was the immediate council, but it was back in our history there that they had the foresight to invest in that land. And at the time, if I remember, they took a beating up over it, and it's going to prove an asset for the town. And you know, it's unfortunate they didn't get a chance to claim glory. I don't like taking somebody else's credit, and I appreciate you bringing that point up. Thank you.
So we're ready for the vote? This will be the first reading. Yeah, we need a motion, sorry.
So move, Your Worship.
I second that, Your Worship.
Moved by Councillor Wan, seconded by Councillor Knight. This is for first reading of Bill 177. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Number 11 is our next council meeting is November 19th, because November 11th is a holiday. Is Remembrance Day. November 12th will be the holiday, so we'll meet on November 19th here at the same place, same time. Item 12 is open forum. Is there anyone who would like to speak?
Good evening, Your Worship and Councillors. I just have a concern here. Obviously, in a couple of days' time, cannabis is going to be sold legally in Canada, and we have a plant up there that's going to be opening soon. I don't know when the date is, but this issue that I'm going to bring up is probably people are aware of, and it's probably being held up by the Power Commission, I would say, but I really recommend that you put a light up there close to Eddie Cormier's driveway. There's a crosswalk across there. Where we're all garments, people walk down the street and cross there. And that plant opening, people coming out of there, it is dark there at the nighttime. You can check it yourself. Eddie has mentioned to me, he brought it up a few times, but I think it's a priority to get it up, especially if that plant's open. Thank you.
Thank you. The point, we did ask the engineer to have a look at that area. I forget when that, maybe the police commission meeting it was or something. But
Yes, Your Worship, I spoke to Blaine, and Blaine's in the process now. I think he's ordered, if he wants to speak on it, he ordered a light for, yeah, he said he's ordered a light for up there. It's being looked after. I think the oversight was when we paved the road, the street, and it was torn up. The sidewalk was the crosswalk was taken out, and it wasn't evident. So when they put the crosswalk, paved the street, of course, once it goes in, then it's more visual. So that's where the mistake lies.
it's being remedied, so that's good. Thank you. And ask for motion to adjourn.
Oh, sorry, Your Worship. I also have something for open forum. And this is my first time in open forum, actually. But it was brought to my attention from a resident that I asked to be here today, but he wasn't able to, so I'm going to just read his message to me. Hi, Simon. Quick question. What is the deal with the sidewalk situation in Valley Woods? There are lots of rumors surrounding the issue, but I have never heard a concrete answer. Is this something that can be discussed? There are so many small children and young families. My own father, who is a senior citizen, walks a lot up here, and I'm always thinking of the traffic situation. Is this something that could be brought forward for discussion? With such a great neighborhood like this sidewalk makes sense. That's the message that was brought to my attention. I know that I have brought another request previously to look at installing a sidewalk on can't remember the street name right now, but it linked Poplar with the Valleywood Park. So I just want to bring this up from the resident, and hopefully we'll take a look at it in our budget time. Thank you.
Councillor Dewan, does anyone else like to speak?
Your Worship, I did have one more item, and Brian, where are we at with our lights with the arrows on Bridge Avenue and Katy Avenue? Thank you.
So, for those watching on YouTube, it's been ordered.
I'd make a motion we adjourn, Your Worship.
So moved, thank you. Meeting adjourned.